Welcome to the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. Larry Krueger with you, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out, the best barbecue in Northern California. Pig and a Pickle with locations in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and they're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being our title sponsor. All right, let's do a little review of the 49ers draft now that it is complete. An interesting draft on a lot of fronts. They took 3 players in round 7 to round it out. Now they'll go sign some undrafted free agents, and those undrafted free agents will be a key part of this draft class. They always are. But let's take a look at what the Niners got done. A lot on defense. And very little on offense, but a lot on defense. Considering the Niners are the number 1 defense in the NFL, they sure did add a lot to it. Now, they started with Jair Brown, who's a safety from Penn State, one of my favorite players in the draft. This guy plays fast, even though he ran 4.65, is exceptionally strong, really one of the best players in college football. Daniel Jeremiah said he was his number 1 safety. And if you watched Jair Brown in the Rose Bowl this year against Utah, he was the best player on the field. 8 tackles, 1.5 sacks. He had an interception. He flew around. He was everywhere. So Jair Brown, I think he'll wind up taking Tayshaun Gibson's job from him at free safety. And I think the Niners not only have a great future safety, but they have a tone-setting player. They have a player who can create a culture, a new culture. They lost Emmanuel Mosley and they lost Jimmy Ward, 2 key guys in their secondary for their culture, for how they play, for their mindset, for their mentality. And Jair Brown is a great player, man. This guy loves to play the game. This is the kind of guy that would play for free. So I'm going to give that pick an A. I think Jair Brown easily could have gone a round higher. The 49ers get him at 99 overall. I think he probably should have gone between 50 and 60. So I'm giving that pick an A. All right, the Niners went with Jake Moody, the kicker out of Michigan, with their second third-round pick. And I got to give this one a C. Not because Jake Moody's not good. He's considered to be a clutch kicker. He's got a big leg. He's kicked some long field goals. He's been very clutch for the Wolverines. Jim Harbaugh, who knows more about Wolverine history than almost any person alive, says he's the greatest kicker in the history of the Wolverine program. This was a guy they believed in. They really believed in him, and you could see the way Harbaugh coached. He believed that Moody was going to make big kicks under pressure. So here's the bottom line. If this guy winds up kicking for the 49ers for the next decade and becoming their next great kicker, then nobody's going to care that he went 101 in the draft. But the reality is that there's kickers that are drafted in day 3, and guys that are undrafted and veterans off the street that wind up being good. The last kicker that was taken high was Roberto Aguayo. He washed out of the league in 1 year. So taking a kicker in the 3rd round, acting like you have no other needs that could possibly be filled, is to me just a joke. And we didn't have a 4th round pick. Well, trade back. You took a kicker in the 4th round. Now, Chad Ryland did go to – you took a kicker in the 3rd round. Chad Ryland did go to the Patriots, the Maryland kicker, in the 4th round. So the Niners probably had intel that they were not going to be able to get Moody, and he was the guy they wanted. So at the end of the day, once again, if he's a great kicker, if he's Sebastian Janikowski and he's your kicker for the next 20 years, then nobody's going to care that you picked him with a late compensatory 3rd-round pick. But if he bombs, you look really bad. You wasted a 3rd-round pick on a kicker. And Kyle Shanahan already admitted all of his friends around the league are calling him up and giving him crap about it. But you know what? The Niners are inside their Super Bowl window. They needed a replacement for Robbie Gould. They obviously didn't believe in Zane Gonzalez, and they went with Jake Moody because they felt like he was the best kicker. So I'm going to give that a C+. C+ simply because that I don't care what anybody else says. That's too early for a kicker. Too early. 3rd round is too early for a specialist. No question about it. But I can't give it an F or anything lower than a C+, because what if this guy becomes your kicker for the next decade? Then you're going to sit there and go, well, we're sure glad that we took Jake Moody in the 3rd round. So there were so many good football players on the board. I'm giving that a C+. But overall, I think Jake Moody is exciting, and it's exciting that the Niners have the best kicker in the draft and a guy that may be their kicker for the next decade. All right, let's get to the third pick in day one of the draft, or day two, I should say, and that was Cameron Latu, the tight end from Alabama. I'm going to give this a C minus. It's a good tight end group. Latu is basically a projection. He's a pretty good athlete. Is he a strong inline blocker? Is his strength as a receiver? It's hard to really know at this point. He can do it all a little bit. But to me, there were better players, so I'm giving this a C minus. Way better players, way more impactful players. Mel Kiper said it himself. This guy tops out as a backup tight end. You're taking a backup tight end with so many good players on the board. I thought that was a weak pick. I'll say C minus on the Cameron Latu pick, and I see the athleticism. I can see the fact that he's got some ability to catch the ball, that he's got some high-level athleticism, and that, he even has some potential as a blocker. But right now I see an underpowered blocker, an inconsistent receiver, and a board that had all kinds of good football players on it. So no, I'm not giving that a good grade. I'll give that a C minus. All right, let's get to day three. Daryl Luter was the 49ers' first pick in day three. And I like Daryl Luter in the fifth round, a corner out of South Alabama. This guy's got size. He's got athleticism. He's got ability. I really like Luter. I think Luter is going to be a good player for the 49ers. I think this was a great steal. South Alabama produces some really good football players, and Luter, the film looks good. They worked him out before the draft. They looked at a bunch of different corners. I do anticipate they'll sign some corners after the draft, but I expect Daryl Luter to play and play well. And I love the size, the speed, the talent, the athleticism, the ball skills, the fact that he's an outside corner. I like Luter. I'm going to give the Luter pick a B+. B+ pick for Luter. All right, let's go to the next pick, Robert Beale, a defensive end from Georgia. Now, this is a boom or bust pick. I'll give this pick a straight C because it could be an A or it could be an F. This guy could get cut this summer, or he could wind up being a significant player for the 49ers. And so I'll give it a straight C. He runs 4.4. And, you're talking about a guy who has great measurables, and he's flashed some big-time ability. But he didn't really consistently play at Georgia, and so it's a little bit of an unknown. This is a wild stab for an edge rusher who has traits, trying to hope that Chris Kocurek can coach this guy up. As I said, this pick could be an A. This pick could be an F. This guy could wind up being a major factor on this 49er defense with 4.4 speed coming off the edge, or this guy could get cut and never play a game for the 49ers. So I'll give that one a C just because it's in the middle of the road. Dee Winters, the linebacker from TCU. I'm giving this a B+. Winters is fast. He's instinctive. The Niners have had a lot of success drafting these athletic linebackers who are, this guy was a safety who converted to linebacker. What I love about Winters, though, is he's played huge. He's played absolutely huge. He hits like a truck. He's got the coverage ability to play coverage. He was a very key player for TCU. I think that was a terrific pick. I think he makes the team, and I think he winds up being a significant contributor for the 49ers. All right, and we'll get to the day 7 picks. The Braden Willis pick, I'm going to give a solid B to because the Niners worked him out. They handpicked him. I think he could be a backup to Juszczyk. I also think there's a very good chance. I like the tenaciousness that Willis shows as a blocker. And he's going to give Charlie Warner a run for his roster spot this summer. So I'm giving that one a solid B+. I like that pick of Braden Willis. The Ronnie Bell pick, I'm going to give a C+ to, just because Ronnie Bell is going to have a hard time making this roster. He's a clutch college receiver who's played a lot of big games. He showed this year that he's recovered from the ACL, so I'm not worried about the injury. I just don't think he's going to make the team. There's too many other good receivers. The receiver position is loaded. I think it's very unlikely that he makes the team. He probably gets cut, gets put on the practice squad, and spends the year on the practice squad. Now, long range, what is he? I'm not really sure, but I'll say C+, C+ for Ronnie Bell. And then for Jalen Graham, I'm going to give that a B-. Jalen Graham's a player. Good player at Purdue, solid linebacker. He's exactly the kind of player they like. He's an undersized linebacker with instincts and smarts and the ability to play the position. He's a productive player in the Big Ten right now. So I'll give that a B plus. I like the draft pick of Jalen Graham. I think he will have a decent chance to make the team and maybe even play a significant role at linebacker in the years ahead. So I love Jair Brown. The Moody pick, I can respect the talent, but the kicker in the third round, that's just such a reach. Cameron Latu, I thought there were better players on the board at several positions, including tight end. The Daryl Luter pick, I think, is a great pick. Terrific pick. Beale is a boomer bust. He could be awesome. He could be cut. Dee Winters is a very good pick, very safe. I think he's going to make your football team. Undersized linebacker with great instincts. Willis makes the team as well. I like that pick on day 3. Ronnie Bell, I think, winds up getting cut, so I'm not a big fan of that, but I do like the Jalen Graham pick. Overall, I would say I'd give the Niners a solid B- on the draft. They had some good hits. They probably had some misses. The undrafted class will add to this grade in some way. It won't hurt it. So I'll say it's a B- pending what they do as far as the undrafted class. If they get a couple nice players, 1, 2, or 3 nice additions as undrafted free agents, which they're more than capable of doing, that B- could wind up being a B+. So that's how I see the 49er draft in 2023. Tell me what you think in the comments. Thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. Make sure you check out Pig in a Pickle in Corte Madera and in Emeryville. And once again, thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.